Hey, fifth through eighth grade. I would like to continue along with our short story from What If? Amazing Stories selected by Monica Hughes. We were studying and reading a short story called A Wish Named Arnold by Charles DeLint. And the premise of this book was what if you only got one wish? So we've already read the first part of this. I'd like to read to you the second part and finish our story up. While I read, I will make sure to stop at any vocabulary words we might not know so that we can work together to try to figure out what they mean by using context clues. And also, I'll stop at certain parts that I think are necessary or interesting for when we read. So that way you can practice those skills when you're reading on your own. All right, let's get started. As the summer progressed, Marguerite and Arnold became quite good friends in an odd sort of way. Marguerite took to carrying the egg around with her in a small quilted bag that she slung over her shoulder. At opportune moments, she'd take Arnold out and they'd talk about all sorts of things. Arnold, Marguerite discovered, knew a lot that she hadn't supposed a genie would know. He was current with all the latest bands. He seemed to have seen all the best movies, knew stories that could make her giggle uncontrollably or shiver with chills under her blankets late at night. Ooh, I'm thinking of a vocabulary word that means the same thing as shiver. Do you know what it is? If she didn't press him for information about his past, he proved to be the best friend a person could want, and she found herself telling him things she'd never think of telling anyone else. It got to the point where Marguerite forgot he was a wish, which was fine until the day she left her quilted cotton bag behind in a restaurant in Smith Falls on a day's outing with her mother. She became totally panic-stricken until her mother took her back to the restaurant. But by then, her bag was gone, and so was the egg, and with it, Arnold. Marguerite was inconsolable. That just simply means that she was absolutely sad, distraught. There was nothing that anyone could do or say to make her feel better. Inconsolable. She moped around for days, and nothing that anyone could do could cheer her up. She missed Arnold passionately, missed their long talks when she was supposed to be sleeping, missed the weight of his egg in her shoulder bag, and the companionable presence of just knowing he was there. And also, she realized, she missed her chance of using her wish. She could have had anything she wanted. She could have asked for piles of money, for fame and fortune, to be a lead singer in a rock band, to be a famous actor and star in all kinds of movies. She could have wished that Arnold would stay with her forever. Instead, jerk that she was, she'd never used the wish, and now she had nothing. How could she be so stupid? Oh, she muttered one night in her bed, I wish. She paused then, feeling a familiar tickle in her head. Did you finally decide on your wish? Arnold asked. Marguerite sat up so suddenly that she knocked over a water glass on the night table. Luckily, it was empty. Arnold, she said, looking around, are you here? Well, not exactly here, as it were, but I can hear you. Where have you been? Waiting for you to make your wish. I've really missed you, Marguerite said. She patted her comforter with eager hands, trying to find Arnold's egg. How did you get back here? I'm not exactly here, Arnold said. How come you never talked to me when I've been missing you all this time? I really can't initiate these things, which means to start them, Arnold explained. It gets rather complicated, but even though my egg's with someone else, I can't really be their wish until I've finished being yours. So we can still talk and be friends even though I've lost the egg? Not exactly. I can fulfill your wish, but since I'm not with you, as it were, I can't really stay unless you're ready to make your wish. You can't, Marguerite wailed. Afraid not. I don't make the rules, you know. I've got it, Marguerite said. And she did have it, too. If she wanted to keep Arnold with her, all she had to do was wish for him to always be her friend. Then no one could take him away from her. They'd always be together. I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling the same thing I am about this egg and Arnold's voice and it talking to her. I'm reminded of another vocabulary word. I wonder if you know what that is. I wish, she began. But that didn't seem quite right, she realized. She gave her bleached forelock, remember, a bang, a nervous tug. It wasn't right to make someone be your friend. But if she didn't do that, if she wished something else, then Arnold would just go off and be somebody else's wish. Oh, if only things didn't have to be so complicated. Maybe she should just wish herself to the moon and be done with all her problems. She could lie there and stare at the world from a nice long distance away while she slowly asphyxiated. And that just means you don't have any air to breathe or you don't have any oxygen. That would solve everything. She felt that telltale feeling in her mind that let her know that Arnold was leaving again. Wait, she said. I haven't made my wish yet. The feeling stopped. Then you've decided? Arnold asked. She hadn't, but as soon as she asked, she realized that there was only one fair wish she could make. I wish you were free, she said. The feeling that was Arnold moved blurrily inside her. You what? He asked. I wish you were free. I can wish that, can't I? Yes, but wouldn't you rather have something for yourself? This is for myself, Marguerite said. Your being free would be the best thing I could wish for because you're my friend, and I don't want you to be trapped anymore. She paused for a moment, brow wrinkling. Or is there a rule against that? No rule, Arnold said softly. His ticklish voice bubbled with excitement. No rule at all against it. Then that's my wish, Marguerite said. Inside her mind, she felt a sensation like a tiny whirlwind spinning around and around. It was like Arnold's voice and an autumn leaves smell and a kaleidoscope of dervishing lights all wrapped up in one whirling sensation. Free! Arnold called from the center of that whirligig. Free, free, free! A sudden weight was in Marguerite's hand, and she saw that the brass egg had appeared there. It lay open in her palm, the faded velvet spilled out of it. It seemed so very small to hold so much happiness, but fluttering on tiny wings was the clay crow rising up in a spin that twinned Arnold's presence in Marguerite's mind. Her fingers closed around the brass egg as Arnold doubled, then tripled his size in an explosion of black feathers. His voice was like a chorus of bells. Good simile there. Ringing and ringing between Marguerite's ears. Then with an exuberant caw, he stroked the air with his wings, flew out the cottage window, and was gone. Marguerite sat quietly staring out the window and holding the brass egg. A big grin stretched her lips. There was something so right about what she'd just done that she felt an overwhelming sense of happiness herself, as though she'd been the one trapped in a treadmill of wishes in a brass egg, and Arnold had been the one to free her. At last she reached out and picked up from the comforter a small, glossy black feather that Arnold had left behind. Wrapping it in the old velvet, she put it into the brass egg and screwed the egg shut once more. That September, a new family moved in next door with a boy her age named Arnold. Marguerite was delighted, and though her parents were surprised, she and the new boy became best friends almost immediately. She showed him the egg one day that winter and wasn't at all surprised that the feathers she kept in it was the exact same shade of black as her new friend's hair. Arnold stroked the feather with one finger when she let him see it. He smiled at her and said, "I had a wish once." And that is the end of our story. So we'll go ahead and continue to discuss this a little bit further, but for now, that's where we're going to leave off. And I'm just kind of wondering if you guys were noticing that we can pair up our vocabulary words with some synonyms in this story. And also, I was hearing a lot of figurative language, so I'm kind of wondering if you were hearing those too. All right, thanks so much, guys. We'll meet with you next time.